think it's going to stay. Okay, hopefully it will stay. Hello, nice to have everyone here. Thank you to my replay viewers. Tonight's topic is kind of a heavy one, and it's something that's important though, so that's why I want to talk about it. I'm talking about, hello, nice to have you here. So I'm talking tonight about how children become victims of sex trafficking and what to do about it. Yesterday I talked a little bit more about the how, so tonight I'm going to be talking more about what you can do about it, okay? So again, my name, not again, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Becky Schauer. I'm an independent damsel pro for Damsel in Defense, and I am a work-at-home homeschooling mom to 3 kids who are 6 and under. My oldest one is almost 7, so counting down the days. Today is April 1st, and so it is the first month of Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So I know that it's not Human Trafficking Month or Sex Trafficking Month, but that's okay. We don't have to wait for that month to roll around to talk about it. So I'm just going to kind of recap yesterday really quick. I'm just going to let you know that it's not usually like it is in the movies. Kids don't usually get into sex trafficking because they've been kidnapped, although that does happen, and that is something that is still a valid concern and is still something that you need to be protecting your children from. But what a trafficker does is he or she will provide a need for a child that isn't having that need met elsewhere and doesn't know how to meet that need for themselves. So it may be a physical need, it may be an emotional need. So it might be things like kids who are runaways or who have abusive homes. They may provide shelter or protection from someone who's harming them. Or it might be emotional needs. It might be, building up their self-esteem, buying them popular things so that they'll fit in with popular people. So it's a need meeting way that they are building that initial relationship. And so once they've built that relationship and once the child trusts them, that is when they begin the manipulation. And they do it in a very calculated and a very methodical way. Okay, they know what they're doing, and they know how to get the kids to do what they want them to do. And they convince them that, they can't get out of it now that they're in it. They convince them that the police are not people to be trusted, that family members are only out to hurt them. So they turn anybody who that child could go to, they turn them into a bad guy in that child's mind. So that being said, let's move into what you can do about it. If you are a parent, this applies directly to your children, or if you are not a parent, not all of this will apply to you. But there are still some things, especially once we start getting into the warning signs and the red flags. That is when you can start paying attention, especially if you're around kids a lot. Okay. So I got some of this information, actually a lot of this information from a PDF that I have the link to in my Facebook page. So you can click on my bio, and there's a link there that you can hop over to my Facebook page, and it will be the most recent post that I have on there. Okay, so number 1 is know where your kids are at all times. Okay, most kids. Oh, and yesterday we also mentioned that the average age of children who become victims for the first time, for girls it is 12 to 14, and for boys and transgendered children that is 11 to 13. Okay, so that's kind of the age, about the age that I'm talking about, though it can certainly happen to younger kids, and it can certainly happen to older kids as well. So how you can keep track of where your kids are at all times. You want to put a tracking app on their phone. Okay, and explain to them that that is for for their safety, that it is for, just explain to them like that it's like an emergency type situation. So if they're driving or if they have friends who drive, just let them know that you just have that on so that if they get in an accident, then that way that they can be found quickly. Okay, you don't need to worry them about why why you want to know where they are every single minute of the day. Just let them know that it's a precaution and that it's not something that they need to be worried about. Okay, and then number 2 is keep track of your kids online. Kids are tech savvy, and so they know what they're doing, and they're sneaky. Most kids, not all kids, but a lot of kids are sneaky. I was a sneaky kid, so I know. Okay, so number 1, tell them to turn their location off on, when they're posting pictures on social media, and when they're doing things like Periscope or Snapchat. That way nobody knows where they are. And teach them to never give out personal information online. They may think that they can trust whoever they're giving that information to, but it is so easy to make a fake profile. People do it all the time. And so they may be giving out information to a person that they think is their age, and it could be somebody who is much older and who is, has plans for that child that are not good. So teach them the dangers of that. And then also, along with that, teach them to never check in somewhere until after they've already left. So, for example, if they're going out with friends, tell them to wait until the evening is over to say, we ate it wherever and we watched whatever movie at whatever theater. Kids do that without thinking because they just, that's what social media does to us. It makes us think that we have to tell everybody everything that we're doing at all times. And so let them know that they don't have to do that until after they leave, and that it's actually better for them and safer for them if they wait. Okay. Again, they don't have to not do it, but that they should wait until after they have left that area. And then, okay, so the last thing under number 2 is to follow them or friend them on their social media accounts, and also be aware that they may have accounts on sites or apps that you know nothing about. So just check in with them regularly. Just ask them if they've heard of any new cool apps, and they might not tell you. Just to be honest, they might not. But you need to not trust your kids. Like, I hate to say that, but with social media, you need to not trust your kids because they don't have the maturity and the understanding to realize, most of the time, some kids are much more mature than others, but for the most part, kids do not have the maturity and the understanding to be smart on social media, and that can be really dangerous for them. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so number 3 is you do need to talk to your kids about sex trafficking, but you need to do it in age-appropriate ways. Okay, so for really young kids, that is just talking about their bodies and what parts of their bodies are only for them. Explain to them scenarios where it's okay, like if you're at the doctor's office and they ask you to take off your clothes, that's okay as long as mommy and daddy are with you, that kind of thing. Let them know those boundaries, because if you don't set those boundaries for them when they're younger, then they may not respect them as much when they're older. I don't know how to explain what I mean there. But just let them know when they're younger, okay? It's better for them to know ahead of time and not after it's too late, okay? So teach them those boundaries when they're little. As they start getting older, you can start having more like gradually specific talks about it, okay? So for kids who are a little bit older but who are still not at the puberty stage yet, You can start talking to them, because most kids, when they start going to school, or if you're homeschooling, they learn about slavery and they know that it was horrible, but they think it's over. They think that there is no slavery anymore. And that's just not the case. Slavery just looks much different today, at least in our part of the world. And so you need to explain to them, just let them know that slavery still does exist. There still are bad people out there who would do something bad if they got the chance. You don't need to go into details as far as how that works or anything, but just let them know that sometimes there are bad guys out there that will force people to do things that they don't want to do. Okay, and just leave it at that. And if they ask more questions, just repeatedly say, "I'll explain it to you later," or "We'll talk about it later." But you don't want to scare your kids, okay? You just want them to know that that danger is out there, so that they will trust you. When it's time for them to. When they're in a situation that they don't really feel good about, or that they may not understand, and so they don't see anything wrong with it. That you can then say, "Do you remember when we talked about this? Okay, that there are bad people. Okay, this may not be that, but I don't know, and so I need you to trust me." Okay, so you want to have that. You want to have that talk so that they are ready to listen and ready to trust you. Okay, and then once they hit puberty, that's when you want to start going into more details as far as explaining what consensual sex is, what rape means. A lot of times kids get really blurred on that. They don't understand. Sometimes they may think that he didn't really rape me because whatever. So explain to them what it is. Again, you do not want to do this in a way that is going to scare them, but just remind them about the boundaries, and that if anybody is trying to get you to do something that makes you uncomfortable, then you need to get away from that person. Okay. So again, this type of conversation needs to be addressed sooner rather than later, because you do not want to have to explain this after something has already happened. Okay, and when you're talking, you need to make it abundantly clear, and not just when you're talking, but just in the way that you live your lives with that child. Make it clear that no matter what, you are a safe place. If anything happens to them in any capacity, if it's they're out with friends and their friends are doing something stupid and they feel uncomfortable, let them know that it is okay for them to call you, and you will come get them, and that there won't be consequences for something that they haven't done, even though they were with people that maybe were doing that. Okay, they need to be able to trust you in that. If they think that they might get in trouble, or if they think that that something bad might happen, they're not going to come talk to you about it. They just won't. And even if you think that they will, they might not. They may not, for whatever reason, they may not feel comfortable coming to you. So you need to live it out, okay? Practice what you preach, okay? All right, so number 3, and this is the last way, and this is also the way that if you're not a parent, this also applies to you. If you work with kids, or if you're just around kids a lot, okay? Hello, what is your name? Wildflower. Okay, I don't see your name. What's your name? I'm glad you jumped on. If you're able to, you'll have to catch the replay. I'm on number 3, and there are only 3. Nicole. Okay, nice to have you here, Nicole. So I don't know if you caught yesterday, I was talking about how children get sucked into sex trafficking, and how it's usually through calculated manipulation. And then, so today I'm talking about how you can protect your kids from that. Number one is know where your kids are at all times, and you can use tracking apps on their phones for that. Number 2 is know what your kids are doing online. It's 4 things. I got kind of mixed up. Yep, I got mixed up. So number 2 is know what your kids are doing online and be aware that that sometimes they're on apps and social media sites that you don't know about. No, I'm not on Catch, but I am going to upload it to my YouTube channel. So I will put the link to that on my Facebook page when we're done here, and that way you can find me on YouTube too. Okay, and then number 3 is talk to kids about sex trafficking in age-appropriate ways. So when they're really little, that's just discussing boundaries with their bodies, it's explaining scenarios when it's okay to show people their, private areas and when it's not, and that most of the time it's not. Letting them know where it's appropriate to touch other people and where it's not appropriate, that kind of stuff. As they start getting older, you can start getting a little bit more specific, but don't get too specific until right about the age where they start puberty. So that's 1 through 3. Number 4 is where we're going now. And that is to know the warning signs or the red flags of sexual abuse in children. And this is something that if you're not a parent, you can still be looking for this in other kids as well. Not that you're like actively looking, but it's just something to be mindful of, especially if you're around kids a lot. Okay, so things can be a little bit different in the age groups. So in younger kids, it's going to look different than in older kids. In younger kids, you're looking for changes in behavior or temperament. So if they are usually a really sweet kid and all of a sudden they're moody and angry and you can't explain it, that's a warning. If they start becoming cruel to animals or others around them, if they start having nightmares or if their sleep patterns change significantly. Another thing is if they start becoming afraid to be alone, especially if they weren't before. If they start becoming afraid to be alone or if they start feeling uncomfortable around somebody, that's a warning sign. And I will add to that, if your child is uncomfortable hugging someone, or if they are just uncomfortable being around somebody, period, don't push that, okay? Even if it's a family member. And I know that can be hard, like sometimes if you're seeing relatives and they want to hug on your kids and love on your kids, if your kid, for whatever reason, is not comfortable with somebody just loving on them, especially if they don't know them that well, don't force that, okay? Because what you're doing when you're forcing that is you're telling them that their feelings aren't really that important, first of all. Second of all, you're telling your child that, even though we talked about, inappropriate touching, and even though we talked about, listening to your body, that doesn't really apply anymore. You don't want to confuse that for them, okay? If they feel uncomfortable around someone, they feel uncomfortable around someone, and it may be your mother, and that's okay. If they have reason to be uncomfortable with somebody, you don't want to suppress that, okay? And there may not be a reason. And if there's not a reason, or there may not be a good reason. And if there's not a good reason, then they'll probably eventually warm up to that person, but let that happen naturally, okay? And then the last warning sign for younger kids is showing affection in inappropriate ways for their age. If they start, doing things that little kids shouldn't be doing, that is definitely a warning sign. And then teens, this is, some of these are kind of rough. So if they start getting extremely angry, like kids, all teenagers kind of go through that stage, and some longer than others where they're kind of moody and grumpy. That's not what this is. If they are extremely angry over things that they shouldn't be angry about, that's a warning sign. If they start running away or if they start having suicidal thoughts or tendencies, especially if they start self-harming, they may start having anxiety or eating disorders. If they come up with an STD, that's definitely a warning sign. If they start bringing in money and you're not sure where that's coming from, that is definitely a sign, especially if they won't explain to you where it's coming from, or if they make up a story that doesn't make any sense, or that has a lot of holes in it. That's a warning sign. if they start having a lack of trust in everybody, if they start becoming paranoid about things, and if they have tattoos that they don't want to explain, or again, if they make up a story about it that just doesn't seem to make much sense, that is a warning sign, and it may be a brand. Sex traffickers will brand their victims. And so that is definitely a warning sign. And then the last warning sign, that these aren't the only warning signs. I just wrote down a few because there were several. But the last one I was going to talk about is isolation from friends and loved ones. That is one of the ways that sex traffickers manipulate their victims. They start, I'm trying to think how I explained it earlier. What they do is once they have the trust of the child, then they start filling that child's head with lies. Like, well, you're dirty and your parents don't love you anymore, or your parents never loved you, you just thought they did. Police can't be trusted, things like that. So, and then they try to isolate the child. Much like a domestic violence situation, they try to isolate the victim from people who love them and people who would try to help them. Okay? So those are things to look for. If they don't want to hang out with friends that they used to, if they don't want to spend time with family, that kind of stuff. So, like I said at the beginning, I know that this is, just a second. Hello? Hang on. Okay, I will be right there. I'm almost done, okay? Okay, just wait for me. Sorry. Okay. So anyway, so I know that this is kind of a heavy topic. I try not to talk about things that are downers too much, but it's so important that sometimes it needs to be addressed. So you can jump on my Facebook page and you can check things out there. And we do have a service, Damsel in Defense does, that can kind of help with some of this. So if that's something you're interested in, I will definitely be doing a scope on that, probably coming up maybe next week. But I didn't want to make this about that. I didn't want to make this about selling. I just it's something that parents need to know about, and so that's what I wanted to put the focus on, is just making sure that you know what to look for, and how to protect your kids, and how to look out for other kids in your area as well. So with that being said, I'm gonna jump off. My little guy needs help getting his toothpaste. So yeah, but I will be back on Monday. I don't like to scope on the weekends because that is family time. So yeah, I will be back Monday, and if you have any questions about any of this, please jump over on my Facebook page and send me a message or write on my wall, and I will most definitely get back to you. So have a great night. Bye.